the chat, obviously. So we're creating a new chat. So that takes a little bit of time to get everyone in there. But we're excited. I am pumped for this morning because my sister is on here with her cool backdrop, looking all fun, looking good. It is so early there and she looks ready. Like, how is that even possible? I'm like, it's 9:30 here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to run over and get on Zoom. So first, I wanted to just give a shout out. If you ranked up this month, drop it in the comments. And I want to just take a minute to kind of share what's happening. If you have been on the team for a while, you know that I've been saying momentum is coming. I'm like, momentum is coming. Momentum is here. It is coming. And so I knew when the reset was announced that it would absolutely blow up the team. Brittany has 9 new silvers. What the what? That's amazing. Fast start silvers. I love it. And so you know that I've been kind of preaching this down. And if you're ready for the momentum, you can hop on the train, right? You have to be ready for the momentum. And something that I've watched this young lady do, blown away with, is understand momentum and understand how to keep it going and how to create it out of thin air, because she didn't necessarily have the reset in her back pocket to reset her business. She basically had to come in and start saying, I know none of you have heard of Plexus, but here's what it is, and had 20 people join her team in 2 weeks. And so it has been phenomenal watching this girl close deals like nobody's business. Who on here feels like your business would explode if you knew how to close the deal? Okay. My sister was closing the deal and I'm like, what is happening right now? How are you doing this? Okay. I'm the queen of like, I'm just like, do you want the products or not? Like, what's going on? My sister's so good with words and listening to people and hearing what they need. She finds the pain point and she closes the deal. So it's really amazing to get to watch in a community and a network that have not really heard of Plexus. So also educating people at the same time. And also building in Canada where things are a little different. So all the odds are stacked against her and she still shows up and does it. And so I thought it would just be so amazing to hear from her and just kind of ask her some questions. So if you have questions for her, I want you to put them in the comments. I'm going to kind of facilitate it, but I want to just first start off and just, if everyone can unmute, number one, welcome my sister to Power Hour. Welcome her to our team. And also just congratulations. So unmute, everyone unmute, and let's just show her. We're so excited that Meghan Marr is on the call tonight.
We're just so excited.
Congratulations. We're so excited for you.
Yay, awesome.
So Meghan, why don't you unmute and why don't you tell us just probably like your top 2 tips of how you're getting all these people excited about what you're doing?
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for the welcome. I'm just like so humbled over here. I feel like I keep saying to Alita, like, is this really happening? Like, are we really doing this? It's so awesome. So I think that number one, I think is just being coachable. Like so many times Alita has told me, you know, do this. And I have really good reasons / excuses of why I don't want to, why I don't think it's a good idea. And then I hang up from the call and I do it anyways. And so I think that that was a really big thing, is that really leaning into Alita's experience and what she has to offer and just doing what she says, which really, and I guess just becoming curious about resistance. Like, why am I resistant to doing this? Does it make sense, or is it pushing me out of my comfort zone? What is that resistance about? And so just becoming curious about the resistance. And then just sharing, like, I don't know how many posts I did. I did one like real post, and then I did a bunch of stories of just kind of creating curiosity and being open to having conversations with people. And so just really kind of putting it out there and sharing before I even had results. So just being like, hey, like, who wants to try this with me? I want to do this with people. And yeah, it's been awesome. Super fun.
Well, okay. a couple of things that I loved is the be coachable, of course. We hear that over and over, but I love the follow-up to that of getting curious of why there's resistance. So many people are just like, I don't want to do it, right? Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that post. I'm not ready. It's not for me. I don't feel that way. Or I would never say this to the person. Like, one of the things is the business, right? How I'm like, okay, let's go, like next step. And you're like, oh, like I wouldn't want to normally do that. But it's stepping out of that and getting curious around why we feel that resistance is huge. When you would talk about sharing, I love how you share, first of all, because you use your stories a lot, and you really were great at saying like, hey, these are my sister supplements. I'm trying them. I'm excited. Who would want to get, wouldn't call them a chat party. She'd call them a chit chat party. I'm like, why are you calling it a chit chat party? It was so cute. She's like, come, do you want to get into this? Do you want to come into this chit chat party and just slide to be added? Right. So when we're thinking about new people joining, and there's that fear base of like, I don't want to just invite people necessarily right off the bat, but if they do a story, and I'm going to share her stories in the chat because I think they're super effective. We actually made a clickable PDF for her team so they can actually see this is a really great way to invite people along with you without it feeling invasive, right? So somebody who might not want to do the first Facebook post is way willing. So we offer the Facebook post, but then they're much more willing to do a story and offer an invite to a chat party where somebody else is the expert, right? So kind of explain your thoughts on how you were sharing that.
Yeah, so I think like just lowering the resistance for them to join. So they don't have to reach out to me. They don't have to tell me anything. Just doing that slide bar on the stories was huge. And so I did that a few times. Like, do you want more info on the products? Slide bar. Do you want to, try them? Sidebar. Do you want to join this chit chat party? Which I think is a great term.
It's a great term.
The slide bars were really easeful, and then I could follow up with them so that they don't have to, it just like makes it less resistance to connect in with me. And then what I also did was I screenshotted the stories that were working. And when people signed up, I would offer that as an example. So I would send them a screenshot of the story that I did and was like, hey, give this a try, pop this out in your story. And it feels less intimidating because they're not saying these products are amazing, you have to try them, because they haven't tried them yet, but they're saying my girlfriend and her sister have tried these products and this is what they're saying. I'm so excited to try it. I'm hoping to get whatever this, but they have like a script and they can actually see what it visually looks like. So I think being able to share the actual stories, that's why Alita has the screenshots, because and you can go back in your archives in Instagram and just screenshot it and send it to them. I got a lot of great feedback around like how easeful that felt for new people to also share.
Mm-hmm. And then you also were doing like a story where you would tag them underneath a post. So like you would tag them in a story so that they could actually just share it. So I love your thought process around lowering the resistance. I feel like we're on Star Wars or something right now, but it's like lowering the resistance of people wanting to join them and also of people wanting to say yes. So like Megan, I love your language around this, like less resistance for people joining. It's an easy slide. I don't have to reach out to you. I don't have to do anything. I'm like, you're going to reach out to me. You're going to show me. I don't even really have to create the post. You've actually already created it and tagged me in it. And I have the option to just share it. Is that not brilliant, you guys? Okay. So tell me your thoughts around that.
Yeah. So I wanted to, get people to do their first story. And so I welcome them to our tribe kind of thing. I did 2 of them throughout the month, and then I just tagged people under the photo because I didn't want to out people, which is probably my own resistance, and I'm sure that will shift over time. Because I've watched other people be like, hey, like, thanks so much for your order, and tag them, and thanks so much for your order. And I think that that's such a great way to show people that you have people joining your team and kind of creating that FOMO and people wanting to join as well. And so this was kind of my way of doing that, of being like, thanks so much for joining. Thanks for trusting us with your supplements. can't wait for your results, so that they have the option to just reshare that and be like, oh, like, thanks so much, Megan, really excited to join or whatever. So that kind of then begins to expand my network by tapping into theirs so people can reach out.
Love it. So as a new person, as someone who's just joined our team 2 weeks ago, what do you feel like the common fears for people wanting to share are? Like, what do you think those common resistance things are, and how did you overcome those?
I think it's just like intimidation. They are worried what people will think. They don't want to stand behind a product that, for like my people anyways, they didn't want to stand behind a product that they hadn't tried, which makes a lot of sense. And so again, just lowering that resistance of being authentic with what your experience is. So I'm not saying do a post about how much you love these products, even though yours haven't arrived. It's like, do a post about how excited you are for them to arrive. What are you hoping to see? So just shifting it slightly so that it's kind of within their comfort zone, even though like part of network marketing is we wanting to expand people out of that. But to begin with, making it feel like they're in control, that they can do it, that that what they're saying is in congruence with what they believe.
Well, I love that, because I remember when I first started, it's easy when you've been in it for a while to be like, just do it. Like, here's the post, let's go. Some people will, but I was one of those people that didn't. I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. And Megan actually sat in my office before she left. And I was just like, I still had no idea if she was actually going to do it. Even though I kept saying like, join my team, please join my team. And when she went home and was trying to product, I remember like, she was just like, I won't probably share on social media. Like, I'm going to be real low key about it, all the things. And so when you think about somebody joining, especially you guys, people who have influence, especially people who feel way more like self-conscious about what they attach their name to, they're not just going to always be like 100% I'm going to share. So if you have somebody, I mean, I know I didn't share right away, right? I didn't share on social media right away. And if you have people like that, it doesn't mean that they're not going to. And I think that we see that resistance and we're like, okay, you don't want the business. That's not true. It's just that there's some resistance fear there of sharing with their network right away. You're bought into Plexus. If you're on this, you're probably already bought in to what we have. You understand the products that we have. I've been doing Plexus for 7.5 years, and my sister calls me probably every hour and is like, I didn't know Plexus did this. I didn't know Plexus helped with that. I thought it was weight loss. I didn't know. Like, gut health affects everything, right? It's like all this stuff. And you have to realize people don't always understand. And so when we're just preaching at them what to do next, do this, and we don't hear them, come on, that's good. That's really good, Megan. When we don't hear what they're saying and we're just telling them what to do, and we're not taking into account that each person is different and where they're at is different, and maybe working with them in a different way. And so Megan and I created a PDF, a clickable PDF that I just have Lacey sharing it to me right now, but it's called just Simply Sharing. And I went through with Megan and I was like, okay, I want to pick your brain. Like, as you're going through this, what are you noticing about people? What are you noticing that might be different, so that we can tweak our system too? Like, we can always be tweaking our stuff. And if a first basic post is missing people, right? We don't want to miss those moments. Maybe we can offer also another solution for those people. There always needs to be a next best step. In case, like, what is that next best step for them? And when we had a system in place that Megan and I were both clear on, that Megan felt comfortable with, but also a little bit of stretch out of her comfort zone at the same time, then we were actually seeing crazy momentum, because there was a system in place that made sense for her people. So it wasn't the typical, make a first Facebook post, it was make a story. And then the next day it was like, here's another story idea. So we were able to start feeding story ideas on a consistent basis for people and tagging them. And they were so much more willing to share in that format. And the other thing that we did is a chat party for anybody who joined. She would just start a chat party and be like, hey, like, I just started you a little chat party. So when people are interested, you can just pop them in there. It's so non-invasive and gives people a chance to get their feet wet and sort of start to like kind of navigate. Like, social media has changed, right? From when the OG days, when you would just make a post and everybody would just be like, yes. And now it's like everybody's everyday life is kind of on there. Things have shifted. We've got these 24-hour stories that disappear. People will feel way more confident to do that. The other thing is people feel way more confident and less resistance to swiping the bar for more information versus commenting out loud on a post. So you have to think about what brings the least resistance for people. What brings the least resistance for people? So when you talk about like the next step for you, like when do you feel like you were like, okay, I'm gonna go for it? Like what was that switch for you?
I think probably after I did my first story and I had so many people respond. And then I was like, because of course you have to remember that because my sister's done Plexus for 7 years, I feel like I see it everywhere. Like I follow a lot of her friends and I see it a lot. So I was really surprised that like a lot of people hadn't even heard of it. And so I think that like having that confidence builder of like, okay, like people don't know what this is. And a lot of people are interested in it. And then I think once I started to kind of go through some of the testimonies in the wellness group and really like broadening my horizons of like what it could actually provide to people, I really believe that we need to be like integral about the products that we're sharing with people. And so I think that that just really like continued to build like my confidence about sharing it. And then I think too, like having the system of knowing what I was doing with each person that signed up made it so much more easeful. Like I didn't feel like I was in it alone. I didn't feel like I was like, like, okay, great, you signed up, like go be in the world. Like I was able to have like really concrete steps to follow up with them. So then I would put them in a chat party with Alita. We would get on the phone call with Alita and then I would send them their first story. Like it was just really like systematic and easeful. So I never felt like someone was falling through the cracks. I never felt like I didn't really know what I should be doing. And I think this is one thing about being coachable that Alita shared with me was like, your confidence matters. And so if I was really confident in what they needed to do, they did it. Like it was wild.
Like, how does this work?
How does this work? You're just doing it? That was awesome.
Calling them like,
and it was easeful for me. Yeah, it was easeful for me because all I did was share a screenshot. Like it wasn't a ton of work. It was just like, okay, like this is what I did next. Give it a try. And then they would.
Yeah, I love that. And so like when you feel like your follow-up system for someone who's starting, what do you feel like your follow-up system for people has been?
Yeah, so they sign up, and at the moment that they sign up,
yeah,
I put them in a chat party with Alita and edify her as a leader, making all the money, doing all the things, been with Plexus as like the expert. And then I introduce the new person with kind of whatever their goal was, or just like what I know of them. And then kind of allow Alita to introduce the business and then kind of edify that process of sharing with 3 people.
How do you
and then based
calls?
Sorry?
How did you feel about 3-way calls before you did them? And how do you feel about 3-way calls now?
Oh gosh, I was super resistant to 3-way calls. I was like, I don't talk on the phone. I would just rather be in a message group. Like nobody wants to
drop a
get
one
on the
if
phone.
anyone relates to that. Okay. Even as an upline, maybe you're like, I don't really want to do a 3-way call. It's kind of boring or it's kind of stressful. Okay. Continue.
Well, it's just like inconvenient. Like you have to set up a time for 3 people, blah, blah, blah. Like I was just like, I don't know if this is going to be for me. Now I freaking love them. Like I'm like everybody. Okay. Like it's like my one goal is to get them on a call with Rita. Like, okay, you know, first thing. And I actually, even yesterday, I actually used that as like an incentive for somebody to sign up. It kind of worked out. Like I was like, listen, like, let's get you these products and then I'll get you on a call with my sister and it's going to be amazing. And we'll get you 3 people. You're going to make this money and it's going to pay for your products. She's like, done. Let's do it. I'm like, okay. I think that they're super effective because it's like that third party validation. Like somebody, I don't even know if it's like Alita's amazing, but I think that with any upline, with any other person that doesn't know the person that you signed up, it's that third party validation of like, okay, it's not just Meghan that likes the products. It's not just, you know, whoever else that likes the products. It's like this other person who I don't even know who lives halfway across the world who's also saying that this works. I think that it's really powerful and way more powerful for a third party. I'm pointing to Alita because she's right here in my screen, but I think it's way more powerful for somebody else to introduce it over me introducing it to them. Like, I've just introduced the products and I'm going to tell you about the business and It's just like, it just creates such a more useful experience.
Yeah, I agree. And it moves the process along so much faster.
Yes.
So when I say, guys, like the three-way chat is good. I'm going to tell you good, better, best. Good is getting in a chat. Like great is getting on the phone with people, and best is Zoom, where you're connecting through the eyes, through the eyes. But like Meghan was so good, but she would just be like FaceTime, because now you can three-way FaceTime. So you wouldn't have to set a Zoom link or do anything. So we'd be on FaceTime with people like all over the place, and just FaceTime talking about Plexus. And it reminds me of the grassroots of when I was building my business, of like how I built my business is this way. And so as people come and join me, and as my sister comes and joins me, it's like I told her, I said, failure is not an option, because I have a little more obviously of a connection. So I was able to be like, you are going to be diamond. We're doing this. So you have to be coachable. You're going to have to just do what I say, and we're just going to do it. And so as I was working
and you
through
can
that,
imagine that I have resistance to that. You just imagine that there's going to be resistance there.
a little, but it's been interesting because it's allowed me, it's excited me again for what we do and the systems we have in place that really do work if you'll utilize them. The easy way is just put them in a chat, just leave it there. Who cares? The easy thing to do was Lisa sign people up and just throw me in a chat. But she got me on a call. We called her at 10 o'clock at night. She was in California, and we talked about reset, right? It's like the easy thing to do is to not connect, but then they will fall off. They won't go silver. They'll fall off. The chat goes dead, right? Like they don't engage back in there. And so when you've had a phone conversation we have yet to have somebody we had a phone conversation with that has just ghosted us in the chats, because now they're connected to us, and it's like we've got this bond, and they see we're normal people, and they're like, okay, this is hilarious, like let's go. Meghan had a stranger sign up, somewhat of a stranger, a person who knew a person, who then referred her friend Mindy, who Mindy is so excited about the business, and neither of us know who Mindy is. We're like, Mindy, we love it. Mindy has already signed up her husband. Mindy is on fire, and we don't know who Mindy is. And so we're going to get on a call with her, but it's like getting those phone conversations, because we talked to Vanessa, right? It allows that sharing to start happening before we, even if they're like, oh, I'm not sure, they hop off the phone and they feel inspired and they feel connected. And so Meghan, thank you so much for just drop some hearts in the comments for Meghan being brave. I could get super emotional about her being on here. So I'm just going to let that go, and we're going to do this. But I want to say this one thing before we go into visualization is that when you hear stories of people going super fast, when you hear stories of people who have been in kind of struggle city, and then all of a sudden they're just ranking up and all of these things, no success is overnight, but your business can change overnight. And I want to encourage you with a couple of things. Is that I was talking with Kristen Abart yesterday. She's a diamond in Plexus, and we had a really interesting conversation. And she said a couple of things to me that I thought we were just talking about a book that we were reading, and she said this to me. She said, people are so uncomfortable shining. People are so uncomfortable shining. There's three things that they do when somebody is shining, or if for them, even if they're shining. Okay. Number one, they attack or reject it. They attack it or they reject it. They're like, oh, well, she's just doing that. Must be nice, right? Like that. Oh, and it's just because of this reason, or it's just because of this reason. It's because, like, I used to attack it myself. It's just because I'm widowed. People want to support the widow, right? Like that's the only reason I'm being successful. We want to reject it. It's like, it's not for me. The second thing we do, and this has a point, I promise, is we can ignore it. I'm just going to ignore it. It's not really my success, or it's not really that person's success. There's another reason for it. And the third thing that we can do, and she said, this is the most uncommon, you hardly ever see it, but this is when people become successful. So listen up, is you lean in to the uncomfortable feeling of shining yourself and letting yourself grow into who you want to be. And when you see somebody else shining, you get curious around it. You message them, you support them, you cheer them on, and you're like, tell me what shifts you had in thinking that got you here. So you can even tell, like when Meghan was sharing, it was like, she said things like, I got curious around my resistance. So I didn't let Meghan just tell me I'm not going to do three-way calls. I was like, okay, let's talk about why you don't want to. I'm not going to allow your thinking to keep you here, right? And so having those shifts of thoughts, and how she says she got curious around all that resistance from, and being aware of the resistance in other people, and not just kind of buying into it, because we don't want to align with those thoughts that they're having about themselves. And it's the same thing with success. It's the same thing. And so as momentum is coming, and as you're building momentum on your team, and as you start to do three-way calls, like getting on the phone and doing three-way calls, you're going to see momentum really hit. I want you to lean into the uncomfortable feeling of all of a sudden you are the expert. All of a sudden you are the upline sharing about plexus. You are that person. And I'm going to challenge you guys to lean into that feeling, lean into feeling like, how would it feel for me to be the expert in the conversation? How would it feel for me to be able to share stories and somebody like actually do the things? Do you guys know the feeling when someone signs up and you're so excited and then they post and you're just like, this day could not get any better, right? There's that excitement. I want you to know that tapping into that excitement all the time is possible, that tapping into that place of really leaning in to shining and being willing to be successful in your business is absolutely possible. So ask yourself, when you're finding success or when someone else is, am I attacking it? Am I ignoring it? Or am I leaning into it and learning and growing from it? Because that's where we really learn and grow. And that's where we really can shine. Meghan, you shine like a star. You're going to be a diamond. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much for hopping on this early and sharing with everybody. We have 3 minutes left. I want to do a guide. I'm going to kind of guide you through a visualization. I got a lot of messages back that said that was really helpful because you guys could actually like truly picture what you wanted to visualize. So I want you guys to close your eyes. I want you to take a big deep breath, and I want you to picture a team in momentum, your team in momentum. Who are the people that are joining you? Who are the people that are with you in momentum? Who are those people? I want you to picture them. I want you to picture those people that are in momentum with you. I want you to then picture them ranking up silver, fast start silver, gold, senior gold, ruby. I want you to picture them walking across the stage as an emerald. How does that make you feel? To see that person walk across the stage as an emerald ambassador, a six-figure earner, earning the trip to Hawaii, how would this bless their families? How would they feel? How does that make you feel to know that you can do that? So many times we just visualize what we want, which is great. But in this exercise, I really want you to be picturing who is with you. And today for your homework, I want you guys to set an alarm on your phone for the people or person that you visualize. I want you to set an alarm. Lisa, would you testify to this real fast? Where are you? Is she on here still?
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I asked Lisa, shout out to Lisa being coachable too. I told Lisa, I said, let's set alarm on your phone for who you want to join your team. I have done this for years and it works because you're visualizing this person. So what happened for you when you set an alarm for someone to join your team?
So I just set an alarm last week for this girl. She's in my homeschool group. I just love her. I've known her for a couple of years. I just love her heart. And so I'm like, I would love to run with her. So I set an alarm. And then last night I made a post about the reset and she messaged me and she's like, okay, I'm ready. So I had reached out to her a couple of times about Plexus and, but she signed up last night and then she signed up her husband. She made a first Facebook post and she's all about going silver now.
And
I just set that alarm
how long ago?
last week.
You set the alarm last week. And how long have you been doing Plexus?
7 years.
And this dream team are finally joined. If you will visualize people, it will help, seriously. So putting them in your alarms and doing those things. You guys, momentum is created. It's not something that's just magic dust. I want you to know that from the bottom of my heart. It's not something that's just like created out of thin air. When Plexus does the things like he does with Reset, I want everyone to hear me so badly. $460 for 3 people is absolutely insanity. If you know anybody who could use $400, I want you to reach out to them and be like, I've got a solution for you. We can get money in your pocket. So when you're thinking about sharing with people and you feel fearful about getting them on a 3-way call, or you feel fearful about asking them to post or share a story, I want to encourage you that you're missing moments to put yourself into momentum. That is momentum. So Lisa and I, we crafted up a post last night that she did. She got that person signed up off of there. We messaged her. You guys, it was 9 o'clock at night. We had an hour and a half left before time flipped over. And she's like, should I send? I'm like, 100%. We're sending it to her because you just never know. And so she did the post. So you just never know that a lot of times it's our own fears holding us back, that we think they can't do it. So I want to encourage you guys today is don't align your thoughts with that they can't do it. Align your thoughts with they're an absolute rock star. I love that Victoria said that. If everybody who joins you treated like a rock star, you treated them like 100% you're going to post, 100% you're going to grab your 3 people, they're more than likely going to do that versus if we just never share because we assume they don't want it. So I hope this morning was valuable to you and helpful. I love you guys. Let's go kick some booty in August. Happy August 1st. If you're not in the Mountain Movers chat, message her offline and get on in there. Love you guys. See ya.